Hello and welcome. I am delighted to introduce you to a woman that has a beautiful and radiant personality, Anaya K. Bardell. She is a vibrant life coach and bioenergetic therapist with over 3 decades of experience, specializing in the harmonious integration of mind, body, and spirit. She has dedicated her life to guiding individuals and families through life's myriad challenges. Anaya's expertise is underpinned by a rich tapestry of certifications in various healing modalities and therapies. These include Master EFT or Emotional Freedom Technique, hypnotherapy, emotional intelligence, pranic healing, psychotherapy, and spiritual ministry. Her approach is uniquely holistic and multifaceted, blending mindfulness with cognitive behavioral techniques to address the needs of each client. Anaya's journey into healing extends beyond the realms of mind and spirit to include advanced scientific concepts like scalar energy, tachyon particles, and terahertz. Her personal triumphs over challenges such as weight, addiction, sexual trauma, self esteem issues, and physical ailments in her native Chicago, Illinois, have deeply informed her empathetic approach. A life altering near death experience propelled her to take control of her well being, leading her to further her studies in Chile and Peru under renowned doctors. Warm, inviting, and always ready to infuse humor into her sessions, Anaya is deeply committed to helping her clients uncover their inner strengths and build resilience. In her practice, she creates a nurturing and supportive environment, ensuring that every client feels genuinely heard and understood. She is the mastermind and creator, along with her husband Liam, of Prosperity Well-Being Place, where she renders her amazing and healing services. And now, please enjoy. Welcome, Anaya. It is a pleasure to have you here on the podcast. Anaya and I met like around 6 months ago or so, and I was just very intrigued by her beautiful personality and just her overall beautiful energy. So I am delighted to have you here, Anaya. And well,
Thank you for inviting me. And I'm excited about you, beginning this journey. So
thank you.
I'm just grateful to be one of the first to of your success.
Thank you so much for your support. And okay, so this is the True Love series. And I'm going to start with the one question that I always start with is, what is true love for you?
True love for me has had many definitions. From the time you grow up, you think love is one thing, and you get a teenager, you get in high school, and you think it's another thing, and you get married, and you think it's another thing, and you have children, and now is another thing. So for me, through all of my experiences, and even through my health journey, I've just come to have an understanding that love is actually a frequency, and what true love really means to me is making making your life about being able to resonate at that frequency in everything that you do. True love is loving you, putting yourself first, because it's not until we, meaning me, one side can find that vibration, that frequency of love. I like to say courage, right? That courage to take just to take the wheels off the wagon and say, I'm going to do whatever I can to know myself, to know thyself, right? And that means without any resistance or thinking that or fear behind relationships, whatever religious commitments you have, whatever governmental commitments you have. It means, who am I outside of all of these commitments or attachments that I put myself in? Who am I outside of that? Because I always like to say, when you were born, your soul came in here without all of those relationships. And so it's true love to me is finding that essence of you. And once you find that essence of you and can love you from a deep level, I mean, even loving the shadow parts of you. And I had to go through that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not an easy task. It's not an easy journey. But when you foster courage, a lot of people talk about gratitude and appreciation. But in the last 4 years, in the work that I'm doing, I realized that people are dealing with more emotional fear, right? And so I'm even suggesting to my even clients, if you can't get to gratitude and appreciation, get to courage. Because courage is saying, I'll do this no matter what. Because in courage, I don't know if you know anything about the emotional guidance scale and the emotions, but if courage at least puts you into productivity. Productivity, meaning, what does that mean? What that means, true love meaning, I look at every single thing that's going in this temple. What is helping this brain function? What is helping this microbiome function, right? True love is finding out every single thing about myself, what vitamins and minerals I need through testing. You know what I'm saying? And after you go through and get all of these reports, finding out where you are on the emotional scale, and then saying, okay, but choosing, do I want to vibrate in love or do I want to vibrate in fear? And so all of these choices continues to put the body, the mind, and the spirit closer to the love frequency. And the reason why I consider it a frequency is because we come across this frequency every single day. Whether it was a bird flying in your awareness, whether it was a stranger saying hello and kindly to you. And so sometimes if we're in an emotional state, we don't even recognize that vibration when it's in our company, right? Because we're not centered. So true love is being able to love yourself and then vibrate that and recognize the love in everyone around you, in every single thing. And just take off that illusion that we all have had about what true love is. We've gotten it through our movies. We've gotten it through our parents, and it's just a real conditioning on what relationships or look like. I mean, whether they're romantic or whether they're platonic. We've all had that our filter or our perspective of love through our parents, right? And say that they didn't love themselves. And so they give have you ever had the instance where maybe a parent was telling you they're loving you but they're yelling at the same time? Well, the child was feeling the vibration of anger versus they knew instantly that's not love, right?
Yeah. Or their actions, right? Contradiction.
Absolutely, absolutely, right? So I think that sums it up for me, and I'm always looking for ways to even bring that vibration and frequency within myself. And that just means always checking in with my heart, how I feel about people, my worldview. Um, and if I can do that within me, I trust that no matter where I go, and I'm told often, like it's something about you. And so I've made the intention of putting out that magical frequency, right? And knowing that people who understand vibration or emotion will pick it up. And it's just funny. I was at a church not too long ago, a client, and um, we were building their networks, and I hadn't seen a young man in maybe about over 20 years. And I hugged him so tightly, you know, just because I was genuinely, my heart was so wide open. I hadn't seen him. I saw him when he grew up. And when I hugged him, he literally said, "This hug is making me think you love me." And I said, "You're sensitive to vibration." He didn't know what vibration meant, but
Right.
he picked up on that frequency. And I got in the car and told my husband, I said, "See, that is what love is. That's what love is. It's
When
not words.
you really feel it. So then,
When
yeah,
you feel it, when
yeah,
you feel it." And I said he felt it without even knowing anything of that path, because his spiritual path is through the religious organization and whatever. And so, but he was still able to feel it because the heart does something all on its own. So that's what true love I have evolved it to be. Even in my own marriage, we literally look at love in a completely different way now.
right. So it is knowing yourself, and in that knowing that you are love and loving yourself, because when you are not accepting the parts of yourself, you cannot fully embrace who you truly are. And these remind me of a practice that I started around 2 months and a half ago, where I said, okay, I'm loving myself, but still I cannot get myself into loving all the parts of my physical body. I'm always criticizing myself in some way. And I said, okay, I need to stop this. Even though I've been in the spiritual journey for 10 years now and doing Tao practices and learning from other amazing teachers that we all know about out there, I said, okay, well, what about if I create a song for myself, for my physical body? And so then sometimes when I get in the shower, I said, okay, how can I do my shower more productive, right? Like, we get caught up in daily activities, and by the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do my meditation and blah blah. So I said, okay, I'm going to create a song for myself. Every time that I shower every day, I'm going to sing to myself. I love my body. I am sexier, healthier. My body has the power to heal itself. And I ask my body, my cells, my DNA, RNA, spaces between my cells, please heal yourself. You have the power to be sexier, healthier, and so on. So then it became like a routine now. Every day I get in the shower and sing to myself. And I have realized that I have created this like energetic attraction of friends, of people around me that are supporting me, and I feel so nurtured. And I feel my body. It feels like I am listening more to my body. And it is just a wonderful thing. And I said, wow, I am
That's true love. No,
right.
that's true love. Because when you start speaking it to you, so you have to fill up this vessel. I used to be a minister, right? And this is why I say I've been through the journey of love. Okay. And a lot of times we believe that love in our actions and behaviors and what we're doing for others, but what we don't, is love. But it's coming from an empty space sometimes, thinking that I have to do this and I have to do that for this person. And then before you know it, you're physically exhausted, you're mentally exhausted, you barely know where you are emotionally. And then let's not even talk about that spiritual journey, where now if the spiritual is compromised in any way, now the body is dealing with so many dis-ease in the body, right? But it's not until you do a practice like you do, right? I have one similar, and you begin to foster the love within you. Now you become this filled vessel, right? And now you can give that love out, right? And it's not taking from you because you've already set up the practice and everything is coming to you because the vibration and frequency of love is only 528 hertz. I look at everything as decimals now. And so when you do that, that's what you're gathering in. Love wants to be loved. It wants to be heard. So it's a beautiful practice that you've started of yourself. I have something similar. I have all of these shower affirmations on my wall. I have them on my shower. They have really cool tools to go with to help this journey for us to be more loving towards ourselves. I remember I did a practice on myself, speaking about going back to what you were saying about your body in the beginning, right? About loving more parts of it. I found there was a technique that I did that really helped me tune into my body more. One day I just went out here in the bright sun because I got to a portion of myself that I felt a energetic block or a consciousness block. And so no matter what tools, and I'm a very resourceful person when it comes to health and wellness and healing and modalities. And so after I went through all of these things, like you just mentioned, right? I said, I still feel there's something there that I just, can't do. So versus taking out any tools, I had remembered something that I had learned years ago about the shadow, our shadows. And shadows are only fragments of ourselves that were lost in some type of traumatic experience that is still held up in the quantum field, right? And still alive, still alive. And if you look at a few books, they're literally sometimes called our demons or our demons. And so one day I read a book called How to Make Allies with Your Demons or something to that nature. And I remembered it. So I went out on the porch in the bright sun and I literally sat on the chair and I took my hands out and I opened and welcomed every piece of my shadow. And I said, come, 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 come into me now. I love you. I want to be with you. So whatever parts of you that I'm not exercising or giving you room to breathe, show me so I can feed you, so we can be allies. And the first thing that I got out of that was all of a sudden I had this instant energetic boost to dance in my living room. So what that instantly told me, that I had called a portion of myself. I used to be a dancer growing up. I mean, I used to battle dance. I was on cheerleading and I was in sports. And so that was a portion of my shadow that said, you don't dance enough, right? So I began to integrate these little things and then not only do that, nurture the shadow, not beat up on myself because the shadows have a reason and why they are a shadow. And if I don't give them that room to breathe, this is the stuck energy. It's just trying to breathe. Because if you, in your present moment, if your shadows, if you remind them of your mother, your father, how they thought, they still scared of you. They're still scared of you. You haven't made any room. So I remember doing that. And then I started incorporating more things about my body. And just even throw this in there for those who's listening. If you have any confidence when it goes to your body, I really want to put this out there. There are multiple tools out there to get you in touch with your body, with loving you, especially if you've been through any type of sexual trauma, any bullying growing up. These are things that are stuck in the body. And so those are the shadows that actually show up, right, for you. It's some reason why you have not accepted your body, and so that is the portion that we can get in touch with. And if you don't feel like getting in touch with that, try hypnosis, because the brain is very powerful. It's neuroplastic. And so sometimes we have to go into that computer system and biohack it. And hypnosis is very, very powerful. Allow a hypnotist, you can hypnotize yourself. Me and Liam, that has been a regular practice of ours for the last 10 years, whether it's a subliminal, whether it's because everything is in the subconscious. And so those are what's feeding you the thoughts, right? So, but what if you could program yourself to love yourself? What if you had the power to program you to have the confidence? What if you had the power to program yourself for the success and the money and the riches that you want, right? We can bypass a lot of mysticism on the spiritual path by just going to the subconscious mind and demystify spiritualism, because everything is in the brain. I studied with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And so when you get a hold of that information, it really demystifies spiritualism, because everyone has a different experience when it comes to their spiritual experiences. But not everything brings you back to that brain and the subconscious mind and the body. And so when we did the program, and we're constantly doing, breaking the habit of being yourself, because the body is keeping in all of these memories. So if you've even had a negative experience as a child about your body, the body is holding it. And so that's what comes up when you're in the shower. Ooh, this is ugly. That's ugly. Well, who told you it was ugly? Who told you that? Mm-hmm. And then what are you comparing it to? It works. So I had to go through that journey. But I knew I had to go through the journey. I had a sexual assault at a young age. And so my journey was very about getting in tune with the body, mind, and spirit, and the emotional place. And I've done a wonderful job, a very blessed job when it comes to loving the body. So I actually applaud you for seeing those shadows of you and saying, I'm going to do something about it. That's courage to me. Versus just saying, I'm just going to live with this. You decided to use your throat. You started to even create your own practice. And look, you created the love. And then that love actually had to reflect back to you through the support and the nurturing you've had from individuals. So that's, you proved to me the beginning of the question of love begins with you.
Right. Yeah, because we cannot create anything that is not in us already, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And it takes some time. It really takes some time. I think people, we get on the spiritual path or whatever path that you want, whether you come to the spiritual path on a health journey, mind journey, or whatever brought you to the healing point, right? We get on it and we think it happens fast. But there are layers and layers and layers, right? And this is why I say get to know yourself, because it's not only, you're more than the body. You're more than your mind. You are a spiritual being living in this human experience. You come to experience multiple things. So a lot of times we believe that things are affecting us from the present moment. It could be things from even past lifetimes that's coming up, to show us the power that we actually have. So we can do a lot when we start loving ourselves. We have so much information in the muscles, in the fascia, in our DNA. And the moment that you start waking these things up in you, that's when you find out maybe you were, and this is my personal experience, what led me into this journey in the first place is I had an NDE. And once that NDE happened, I came back to the physical plane and literally had to put my mind, my body, everything back together again. And excuse me. And doing that journey, I forgot where I left off because I had to cough, but remind me, Valkyrie. Through that journey, I had to learn how to love me, because once I came back, I realized, oh, it was emotional, it's your thoughts, it's all of these things, and I really had to clean it up. And in the beginning of my journey, I thought, oh, this is going to be quick. I got this. I'm going to do this, you know. But then, oh my goodness, it becomes a roller coaster because it's like, oh, this comes up, that comes up. So we're layers. And so all of that information is literally coming up from the body. And if you have a good perspective or a positive perspective, you can see it as a good thing. Meaning, say that you were an entertainer in a lifetime. Why do you feel the need to even do this and be in front of a camera? You have to think, what were you doing somewhere else? Or where are you on even another parallel reality or universe right now? And you feeling it right now. And then you took the courage to step up and say it. And I've learned that we can pull up all of this information in the body. And so through my experience, what led me on the journey of health and wellness is because I found out I was a doctor in so many lifetimes. Mm-hmm. That's not what I thought I came here to do. So when I went through the spiritual experience, I was angry. I was angry because I went, do I gotta learn this? I wanted to do that. And I spent 2 years pissed off. But because every point of my journey was leading me towards this path, it was evident. The masters I was meeting, the teachers I got to sit underneath. And they were all trying to bring me into this. This is who you are. This is who you are. I'm like, no, but what does that mean? I think it was fear, right? But the more that I kept on peeling layer off of layer, I was tuning into all of those higher vibrations in my body that I was able to experience. So that's really true love, and trying to find thyself and see who you were or what you have done, and then exercise them in this physical plane, if that makes sense. That makes sense.
Totally. And you talked about the layers that we have to remove before we experience that what we want or what we really are, right? I recall one of my clients last year, she said, Valkyrie, but for instance, she was referring to Abraham Hicks. Abraham says, okay, the moment that you ask for it, it is done. It is yours. You have it already. And then my client's question was, but why it takes so long? And I said, well, it takes so long because we are in this physicality. And for us to manifest something, we have to focus first and do the work before that one thing manifests. So yes, you continue being in pain or experiencing this one situation because you haven't focused enough or do enough work. And what is enough, we don't have. It is relative to the degree of layers of negative information that you have, and it is different. Somebody else that may have the same condition, maybe it's going to manifest quicker her healing. So does that make sense?
No. That you're actually right, because I've read most of Abraham Hicks' books, and the importance of this for people to even understand on an even deeper level, right? Because I took a class with Master Cole and I've studied with him. He's Tony Robbins' energy healer and stuff. And one of the big things that we really tuned into, where patience really come in, you have to know that anything that you're trying to create in your life, spiritually, whether you're focusing on it or not, it's a big thing. It takes time for things to come from the heavenly frequency to matter, right? To matter. You know, all of these cooperative components have to be gathered, right? So if you want it really fast, like she says all the time, you wouldn't even want it really fast, because now let's give an example. Say you want to manifest a house, right? In this big old house, and you visualize this nice place, right? And let's say that your imagination is grand and you have a growth mindset, and you believe that once you put visualization into practice, into place, and you put this beautiful home in your mind's eye, right? Guess what happens? Now, once that visualization goes out, there are cooperative components in the universe, whether it be guides, angels, people have so many names for what they want to call them on the spiritual path, but they're literally working in your favor to make this happen. So they're looking for that best contractor you want to build the house, that next person you need to meet to find out maybe the deal that puts the house all together. So there's a process that is happening from the visualization point. And this is where faith or expectation comes in, and you sit back and relax. You put it out there. And this is where you bring out all of the things that you learned on your path: breathing, meditating, having fun, drinking tea, seeing how you feel on a daily basis. If you're going into anger, where your focus is going. And then every single day, you put energy into what you want to create. If it's health, you can't be focused on the problem because it's a different vibration than the solution. So if the problem is here, right? Say the problem, I don't have a house, my body's not feeling good. Mm-hmm. Ask, that's asking. The given is a healthy body and whatever home you want to live in. That's the solution. But if you're still stuck on the pain and you're still stuck on this, you can never rise to the solution. It's already there for you. So this is where that faith or that faith comes in, where you just believe and have no doubt. Asking, it is given. Everything is allotted to you. You just have to believe it. No one is taking nothing from you. It's all yours. It's all yours. It's just really focused. So I think you gave her great advice, seeing that we've, studied with Esther Hicks and the Abraham community and things of that nature, to know how that level works. I believe that you directed her in a good way, but we have to focus, select what we want, whether it's healing in our bodies. Select that. I want healing, and focus only on that. And I think what's most important, thank you, that I don't want to forget, we have to focus only on the outcome. Only on the outcome, because if you want wellness, see yourself well. If you can't move or whatever the ailment is, see yourself the opposite. And the reason why this is so important, and I'm so glad this has come up, you have to see yourself, take yourself out of the imagery in which you've been seeing yourself. You create that in your mind. You're actually doing it to you. When you learn how the brain works, you're the one that's actually creating the pain, creating the illness by focusing on it all the time. But there's a part in our brain called imagination. We kind of lose it as we're, growing up, depending on what type of environments that we were raised in or whatever. But you remember being a kid, and everything was allotted to you, depending on, where you were, your culture and things of that nature. But it was easier for us to access that imagination. Well, we have to begin to do that again, right? So if you've been experiencing anything in the body that doesn't feel good, see yourself running in the park. See yourself exercising. See yourself well. You have to change that in the brain and the mind. And so once the imagination is shifted, the perspective about yourself is shifted, now you have signals, literally, speaking off to the universe that will get you to that end goal, that outcome. But you are the only one that have to see it. So what does that look like? So maybe you go to an event like you and you meet some health nutritionists. You meet a health coach, because those cooperative components is only focused on your outcome, not what you're living in, right? So the moment that you do that and see yourself in a different way, you have to spark up that imagination. If not, you'll continue to create the pain, create the disease in the body, and then create suffering. And you don't want to do that. So shift and break the habit of being yourself. And that's literally starting with your imagination. So I like even going back to what you said. I'm sexy. I'm beautiful, right? You were seeing yourself differently from when you started, right? So it starts with saying it. You don't necessarily have to feel it, but you have to start the process there of seeing yourself differently. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with weight, which is just a lot of emotional baggage in your defense mechanism. If you're dealing with weight, see yourself as the skinny girl. See yourself, because if you don't see yourself being the skinny girl or having the health or having the wealth or doing something in that vision, so see yourself exercising in a vision. See yourself, living the life with money or whatever you're trying to create, right? Everyone is creating so many different things, but you got to see yourself having it. You got to see yourself in that vision doing it. You got to see yourself in that vision being it. Too many times the focus is that girl's skinny, that man got money, they have it all. Well, of course they do. What you're actually doing energetically is sending more energy to these people by your focus. But what if you shift that focus and bring it to yourself, right? And focus only on your outcome, who you are. See yourself with the money. How do people with money behave? How do they act? What is their self-regimen, their discipline in the morning? What does success look like? So you could have $5 in your bank and create success in your life with what you have by just going, make yourself a cup of tea, sit there, feel abundant, see yourself as that abundance, because you can only get richer and richer, right? So even if you have $1 in your pocket, saying, okay, I am where I am, right? But you have to feel and be that vibration before you can even create it in your life. And it starts there. So your client, she would have to start seeing herself out of that pain, see the ligaments moving, see her playing pickleball or whatever,
Right.
And then that's when it comes to the body, because it could be just blocking her next, not, and this is for anybody, your next answer. Because if you're in pain, if you're focused there, the answer could be a simple chiropractic session somewhere that would put you back into alignment so you can think and, does that make sense?
Yeah, total sense. Yeah, thank you for that. The tricky part, of course, always is the feeling, creating that feeling. But then doing the practices, I realized that doing the practices is basically rewiring your brain.
Yes,
Right?
and body.
Training yourself. And yes, it does take time, like
It does take
anything
time.
in this physical world. So yeah, it does make sense that any manifestation will take time, and by removing each layer wherever they are, so then we come to a point that thing shows up, that we manifest that thing. And so it is that we do have the power to heal ourselves. And Anaya, I want your opinion, or what do you think about remote healing? We can heal ourselves, and we have so many teachers out there, healers that heal others, and some of them do remote healing.
All for it. We're just energy. We're just energy. Remember, this is just a physical component to us. And so I do remote healing. I've been doing remote healing I've had it done on me for the last 10 years, and then I also do it on others. And so, of course, it's an easy topic to have skepticism about. Mm-hmm. Only because in our cultures, many cultures and environments, that hasn't been taught to us, energetics and physics and our bodies and brains and how much we're connected. So the idea could maybe throw someone off, but I would ask anyone to open up their minds. We're all connected, and see it like this. Have you ever been driving in a car and maybe in traffic and you literally can feel maybe the person in the other car staring at your car or looking at you.
Yes.
And
Oh,
you look, and then you instantly look over.
yes.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
I'm sure that's happened to so many people in your audience. Or have you been thinking about someone and then the next day they call you, and now they're thinking, no, that's a miracle, or that's magic, or how did that happen, and things of that nature. Or they'll get on the phone, girlfriend, I was just thinking about you. you know no, that is actually us being connected. Thought forms are energy, so they travel. And if you're sensitive enough and tuned into enough, you're picking up on others' thoughts. Well, the same premise happens in remote healing. I deal with something that's scalar. I deal with Tesla coils. And in my work, which, hear me when I tell you, Valerie, became a blessing and freedom for me, that we all are actually that connected, because it allowed me to travel and do work and not be, because I spent the majority of my first half of my life always doing these personal things, or which wore my body out, in which I had the reason why I had gotten sick. I was a psychotherapist, and then I went into counseling, and when I tell you, it was thousands and thousands of people. I'm constantly connected to their energy, their stories, their problems, their whatever was going on. And I didn't know energetic hygiene at the time. And many times I would go to bed drained or exhausted, and I would blame it on, my other businesses or my children or the house management, whatever. It was so many things that was so out of my awareness, that I was actually picking up energetically from my clients and the work I was doing. And that literally plummeted me into a 10-year depression, where I was hiding from people, literally hiding from people, because the community that we lived in, I was known at multiple, and these are big churches, there was 10,000 members. So no matter what store that you went in, you would find some member from somewhere. So it even got to a point where I was walking in stores with a black hoodie on, because I didn't want anyone to ask me any more questions, because I was not aware of how tuned I was in to energy. I could come up to a person and literally read you and say, ABC is going on, and look into that, right? And they'll be like, oh, how did you know that? How did you know that? So I didn't even have the awareness of energy when I was in that work. So when it was time for me to heal myself, and we got into that subject of remote healing, I went, okay, let's talk about that. And I had to go through my own journey of, is that working? Is that working? And it was literally working. And then when I got into scalar, this was my absolute, how can I say, validation in remote healing. Now imagine, I'm already studied in Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, physics, because I was learning scalar, tachyon, and a lot of these things at the time. My brother was going through something. And of course, he was going through something for years. So he didn't know anything about remote healing or energy or anything to that nature. All I did was take his photo, put some peppermint oil on the other coil, and a few other things. I was in California at the time. He was in Illinois. And all of a sudden, I get a call 30 minutes later. I didn't tell this man that, because, he wasn't receptive to what my husband and I have been, going through. And that was fine. Everyone, comes to it when they come to it, right? But I decided I wanted to give some light. I get a call 30 minutes later, and he says, Anaya, are you doing anything on me? Because I'm smelling and tasting peppermint. And he's literally on the phone trying to figure out, I think it's peppermint. And that let us know just how sensitive he was to energy. And before then that's when I took off, and I engaged with other healers with tuning forks, remote healing. And one healer, I would do the tuning fork, she would put thumbs up when she could feel it up on the phone, and it was amazing. So it works. It's a thing. I have maybe about 10 clients on remote healing now.
Oh, that is so amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Oh my goodness. It gave me the
And let me throw this in. Let me throw this in. And I'm really happy to say this one. So I have a friend who they have a couple family members who just went through a traumatic experience, but it divided the couple. Okay. And she just was telling me and reaching out to me to say, this is what's happening. And I said, well, hey, do you want me to put the couple on Scalar? And we can give them, because if they can see at a different perspective and have clarity, and all Scalar is doing is bringing light to the situation. It's the same energy as our thoughts, the sun. Okay, I know this is not about Scalar, but it's just that awesome. The very next day, she texted me in the morning and said, let's keep up what we're doing. They're communicating. And I was like, see, the power of remote healing. And they don't even know they're on the box because they're in trauma right now. We just decided that we were going to throw in, give them some energy. So they're not at that space where they're in a hospital right now. So we just started on doing things on our end, and they began to communicate the next day. So remote healing is real. Don't you do it? You do remote healing.
I do it. And that brings one question to my mind, which is, when are we allowed, or how can I put this into words? Do we have to ask for permission? Because what I practice, we always have to ask the recipient of the remote healing if he or she is willing to receive it.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. Because me personally, I work that way. I don't believe in interfering. But when you're working on a soul level and dealing with scalar energy, that's actually what you're also working with too. So you can see, I work with the soul a lot, right? And so when the soul starts to give the people that energy, say like in that traumatic situation, and when the mother stepped in to say, okay, this is what's happening or whatever, when I'm doing remote, I have a generator and programs and things of that nature. I'm going to the soul. If it is meant for them, and this is a win-win for them, allow this light to carry them through. And so, and when that soul is receptive to those thought forms, I kid you not, you see massive healing come in when you work from that level. No, I don't. I'm with you as well. I don't believe in interfering because some souls have come here to experience certain things and certain levels of density and certain things. So I always ask, or suggest, or even, put the idea in someone's mind. Would you like enough light to get you through any situation? And more, I can count on my hand how many times someone told me no.
Right. Yeah, communicating at the soul level. I have something called internal pendulum, and I've been trained to, for instance, in like an emergency situation, right, where when you want to interfere but you don't know because the person is unconscious, right? So I ask my pendulum to connect with the soul of that person and ask the soul again if it is appropriate for me to be a channel, a vessel of love and light for that person to be well or whatever, right? To receive a blessing. So yeah, the importance of asking or saying as appropriate, right?
And a lot of times I think we sometimes can even put too much energy into that. Especially when it comes to maybe dealing with different practitioners and healers and things of that nature. On some soul level, that person has already agreed to work with you. So say that when they come to you, that's all, the agreement and contract has already been made. It's sometimes us questioning our belief in action towards the client. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And maybe always asking permission and stuff of that nature. By me having two pyramids, that's what I had to learn. to be honest, because I was just, you know, I was being respectful. You know, you go through the spiritual journey, and I never want to cause any harm or foul to anyone's path or journey, or send it into a trajectory that's not in their highest version. Because they don't have awareness of the mind, body, and spirit connection. Very aware of that, because, you know, some light can send someone, you know, I've seen it. Hear me, I've seen it.
That brings me to another question about that. So then, if it is true that we can interfere anyway, so that reminds me of black magic, what we call black magic. Like,
no, I didn't mean to say interfere anyway.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, of course you didn't say that, but this brings me the question of, is it true that we can interfere anyway? Can we interfere anyway? And so then that will be called black magic, kind of.
The way my study and the way I see it, yes, but people practice that on a daily basis without knowing it. So you don't even have to be a healer. You study, you do that when you criticize, when you put someone else down, or you're projecting your own, you know. This is why it's so important to become self-aware and conscious of what's actually coming out your mouth when you're speaking to people, how you're speaking to people, and what's actually being said, and the energy that's coming. Is this your pain that you're projecting on someone else? You understand? So there's a lot of that going when you watch the news and you're listening to all of the news and people telling about what's happening into other people's lives. That's literally, in a sense, called gossip in my perspective, and you're lending your light to that.
It's my time. Yeah.
you're lending your energy to that. So I've come in my journey that the universe is a balance of dark and light. You wouldn't appreciate light if you had not had experienced the dark. And so in my journey, it's all about balance and knowing that it's these two, and then deciding which one you want to be a part of. And that has to be done on a very conscious level, meaning you are so aware of what's coming out of your mouth to other individuals, or how you see, because all your opinions and things that you say is coming from your own experience, your worldview. You know, I was just speaking with a client about this. I kid you not, 2 clients in a row, with that kept on say that when you, one client kept on calling her husband, he's an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. He might be distributing those characteristics of alcoholism and alcoholic, but every time you say it, you reinforce it, you send the energy to help him become an alcoholic. So in many circles, that would even be considered dark magic, because you're throwing that energy on that person. So if I explained, well, how do you want him to be? Who do you expect him to be? Well, I want him to be this, and I want him to be that, and I want him to be this, and he's not this. And I mean, the story went on what she thought this individual should be, who he should be, and all of this anger. And I just literally reiterated, the anger is not actually with him, it's actually with you, because you haven't set up your own boundaries to even lead this man you consider an alcoholic. And I said, but if you want that man, can you call him all those wonderful things that you want to experience? You're constantly saying he's this, and he's an alcoholic, and he's an alcoholic. Well, guess what? If we want to see even the people that's in our circles well, we have to see them that way, regardless of what they are, the behaviors they're distributing out loud, out in the world, right? We can't just be calling. So that is what I consider conscious. It just throwing negative energy. Everything has a balance. light and dark. And I just chose that when a person have a conversation with me, I want to leave them empowered, not disempowered, So I don't think either one is right or wrong. I just choose to operate in a different frequency, and I don't even put judgment on those who actually do that for a living and actually resonate at that level, and they don't feel anything that's wrong with that. To me, I've seen the dark and how those type of thoughts and things can lead to dis-ease in the body, mental conditions, just so many, you're just completely spiritual out of alignment with you in life. And then the moment that you close your eyes sometime in your journey, everything that you put out there literally comes back to you. So I just decided that I wanted to resonate where I want more light coming to me. And if I find something in an individual that's twisting me the wrong way, I ask myself, what's in me that I need where I can see this situation differently? So I don't have that thought, to send someone out that type of energy. That makes sense. And I'm gonna move because I see my iPad is running out of juice. Remote healing, yes, it's something that I encourage everyone to look into. Find you someone who can actually do work. You don't necessarily and then here's the benefit of remote healing. You don't have to be there. We deal with bioenergetics and all of that. And I have remote devices that I can tell what's going on with your emotions by you speaking into your phone and putting it up to your bone. I have what they call these biographic headphones that when they're put up into this bone, right? And literally a person has to put their phone up into the bone, and it sends me all the frequencies from their body,
right,
through their voice. So it's really, really a powerful thing, and it's convenient for me and the clients.
right.
And then I can send them the frequencies, no matter what comes up. I can send them the frequencies via over my equipment, and then I also send them their own files so they can actually play their files by themselves and then do their healing. I will always lead someone to the divinity of themselves. I don't, even as me being a person who works in the healing space, I'm just a way on your path. I'm just literally a way on your path. So I always say you are your own healer. I am just vibrating at the frequency to allow you to heal yourself.
Yeah, beautiful. Totally. So you have many years of experience and you have studied so many modalities. Can you please share with us your journey and about your business?
Well, my journey started years and years ago. I'll start from the beginning of the journey. I'll just say that negative thought patterns, negative emotions, constant, chronic, not understanding what was happening in my complete world, went through and I was very successful, especially young. Me and my husband, we started our business young, IT on, we started doing IT network. I had my degree in business and he's an engineer. And so when we had two small children, and during that journey, we were trying to figure it out, just like any young couple, how to make more money, how to create more happiness for young children. And so when you're doing this at a young age, it's almost like you don't stop and focus. I know that was our experience. And I like to follow that up with this. I was brutally raped at 19, right? Or beaten while I was raped, right? At 19, by the time I was 21, 22 years old, now I have a full-fledged family, right? So I had not healed the body from the rape. I am on autopilot because in the culture that I was raised, you push things up underneath the rug. You don't talk about it. You don't let no one mess with your mind. all of these narratives go on. So the day that I got raped, it was like a weekend. Friday, I went back to college on Monday. To me, I proved to myself that I was a strong individual. And I graduated across that stage with no one knowing what had happened to me. No one knew that. And not even my family members. A month later, my mom dies. So she never knew what even happened. So this is a cumulation of trauma, right? But I don't have the concept of what trauma is. I don't even think I had linked it to the word of trauma at all, at a young age. It's okay, this is what happened. And then by me having, I had these belief systems that if I go to the police, they're not going to listen to me. These were all belief systems, right? And then do I really have time to be going to court? I was so focused on my future that I just couldn't let that process stop me at all. I was at the time I was getting like my second degree in business. So it was like, no, I would go to school. I walked across that stage. Then a month later, my mom dies. She was able to witness me graduate, but I was never able to express what had happened. So fast forward, now I'm into everything. Now I'm having weight come on. I'm attributing to having children. Never, never understanding what happened to the physical body, okay? Because I wasn't tuned in to that area of my life. It was only about mentalism, mind over matter, push forward. You can do this. Strong, go help everybody. Whatever, all these belief systems that I was carrying. And I carried them well. I really did. Me and my husband, we were feeding the homeless. We were doing so many things for our community because at a young age, we were making more money than everyone in the community. So we started living better. And one day I looked up. Now I'm a part of organizations that was asking me to come in and create things. But I want to touch on the health journey and how it led to when you are not connected to the experiences that you had, this is holding up in the body. People call it anxiety, people call it depression, they call it a lot of ailments. But a lot of times it's just trauma still stuck in the body from the experiences that you had. So one day I looked up, my bank account was nice. I had no reason to complain. I had nice cars in the driveway. I had a nice home. My kids was well taken care of. I was really blessed. And looked at my husband and said, I'm not happy. I thought if you got all of these, they lied to us. I thought if you achieved all these things, happiness would just automatically be there, right? Why am I not feeling what I thought I would feel after I accomplished what I thought was success or whatever I built up in my mind? Never still connecting it. My body needed to be released. The trauma needed to be released from myself. I ended up gaining a lot of weight. I was at 258 pounds at 5 feet tall, at 5'1". I'm 5'1". I ended up getting weight loss surgery. So I was always a go-getter, meaning, okay, this is the problem, let's go at it. Still not connecting on the emotional level. Because I was a psychotherapist at early age and counselor, I developed this way of not expressing my own emotions because I was dealing with so many other people's emotions. I was like, well, who's going to listen to me? And I would write in my journal, who heals the healer? Who talks to the healer? But those are not great thoughts in a certain way. They can be a negative thought because it's putting me in a victim mode. Look at me. I've done all of this and, I'm still not happy. It's still just going into victim or blame. Oh, she did this to me, whether it was in my in-laws. So I was holding grudges. It just wasn't good because of, being young, successful, moving through contrast, and you thinking because of someone else's behavior has caused you to be unhappy. No, it's your focus and thought on that person and behavior that's making you unhappy. So the moment that, and I kept on diving into the darkest hole where I didn't even recognize myself at all. It was like, I've done all of this crap. I graduated seminary, magna cum laude, done all of it. So it's like, what else? So I was still not connected to my body and to the emotional. I was only thinking from a mind who was trying to continue to figure it out. Like, well, I done this and done this, almost developing something like perfectionism. Well, it wasn't until now I'm in the root of it, and now I'm having health issues in my mouth. And when people look into what each tooth is related to an emotion, now I'm having teeth fall out. Where now I'm getting root canals, I gotta get this pulled. Still, no level of emotional body. It's what now? That was the attitude I had. What now? And all I could think was, thank goodness I got the money to take care of my mouth. That's the whole, the thought that I had at the time. But I was constantly waking up until now my body is beginning to, if anyone is familiar with when the thyroid started to get imbalanced and to mix function, the body begins to experience all types of symptoms. Whether you're going through high flashes, cold flashes, don't want to eat, want to eat. There's a lot of symptoms that go with that. And the medical community is not that well versed in a lot of areas on why the thyroid continues to stay in balance outside of your lifestyle, what you eat, and those things. But there is something very, very important that's connected to our thyroid, that in order to see that full healing of it, that we have to exercise. So now my body is experiencing all these symptoms. And I was, since I lived this I'm perfect path, going through the religious sect, all those beliefs that they throw on you that end up somewhere being shame, guilt, and all of that. And so I was experiencing that, not even able to love my body because I'm a minister, not wanting to have certain sexual or sensual experiences. Oh, because you're the minister. All of this time, I'm shutting down my sacral chakra and me being who I want to be because of this person that I created. Does that make sense? So the thyroid is shutting the hell down on me, and I'm getting more depressed. And it wasn't until now I have a stroke in 2015. It was when I went to the hospital, they say, you are the best looking and compatible to life person that we have ever seen. That's because I didn't look like death. I've never looked like death. Nice. Or I was sick. That was the tricky part, even for me. I couldn't even see the misalignment when I looked in the mirror, because I saw sickness. I had another perspective on sickness is. Well, let's fast forward. Okay, we find out I have the stroke in 2015. I get a download for source. I get higher self and everything. I knew exactly what to do when I got out that hospital. And I went to every single doctor. They shared with me, through that stroke, you haven't been taking care of yourself. Go to every single doctor so you can have an awareness of what's going on. Luckily for me, all of those reports was coming back. We don't see nothing. We don't see this. But I'm clearly having these freaking symptoms. We don't see this. We don't see that. So I'm getting frustrated with the medical community. And it wasn't until 2 years later, now the body is completely like, what are we doing? And I just yelled out loud and said, okay, what's next? And I instantly heard, go see an endocrinologist. I had never heard of that word before, ever. It took me to go look online and type in, what is an endocrinologist? And it was the nervous system. thyroid. And when I go there, I get all the answers to, well, she puts me on the right path. They put me on a medication for, I forgot the word. It's a very popular thyroid medication. They say 90% of people are actually on it, and that's actually scary to me. That deals with this. One of the number one pills that they actually prescribe to people who are going through thyroid. I can't think of it now because it's been so many years later. Within 3 days of being on that medication, I could feel me disconnecting, my physical body and spirit disconnecting, and kept on saying something is completely off, something is not right. I don't feel good on this at all. But they tell you, wait a couple of days, your body is calibrating to the medicine. By the 7th day, I looked up at my husband and said, this medicine is killing me. Rush me to the hospital now. I get to the hospital. They run all these tests. The nurse run into where I was sitting, laying, I should say, and she says, "You are right, Anaya. This medicine is killing you. Get off of it now." But that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
You want to know why it was the best thing happened to me? Because at that moment when she said that, I looked at her and said, "You know what? I'm done with you. I'm healing myself. Forget y'all. Forget you." And that started, some courage just rose up within me and went, I'm about to heal my freaking self. And that's when the journey began. So we started with my husband. Since I was in this perfectionism thing, they had did all this research on how cannabis heals. He first brought it to me, and I was resistant toward it at all. But when the body was going through all these temperature changes, he sat down with me lovingly in a real lovely tone. Look, I've looked up this again. I know you don't want to smoke nothing or you don't want to do nothing because of your belief systems, but just look into it for this. And I said, well, if we do it, we have to do it my way. And then that's when I studied this plant on every cannabinoid, what goes here, what goes there. And I began to do what they call suppositories. Oh my God, Valkyrie. We have no idea what suppositories will do because it heals up the body faster. So fast forward, now I'm healing. My body is coming into wellness. I'm still going to my doctor to look at the test. It took 3 doctors. 3 of the doctors pulled me aside and said, we're not seeing these numbers nowhere. What are you doing that's changing this? And at the time, I was already into affirmations. I understood about how our thoughts, and our emotions is it's very important when it comes to healing of the body and what you're thinking and saying to yourself. So I started speaking differently to myself. Doing that love thing that you were talking about. I was opening up my throat because that thyroid, after I studied, where does that thyroid, what's going on with the thyroid? And that's when I delved into Chinese medicine. So I was going through the essential oils. That's one modality. Went through flower essence, became a flower essence practitioner, and went just step by step learning. And I was using all of these things to bring wellness into my body. But once I got into that Chinese medicine and started learning what emotion that each organ carried and what emotion I was carrying in my body, the thyroid was connected to you either holding on to secrets, not communicating your emotions effectively. And if that's happening, the thyroid is automatically going to start shutting down. Well, the moment that I read that, I instantly knew. I was holding on to by me being a psychotherapist, I had so many people's secrets. Because I signed, I believed in this clause, what you tell me is between you and I. So, and there was compromising situations that I was put in where I was conflicted on what to do based on information that was given to me. And that had shut me down. And so I started having conversations. I started writing it in journals, tearing it up. But I did everything to get it out of my body, to express. I was angry at certain family members. So I would take a journal and cuss their butt out in that journal, say whatever I wanted to say. And then after that, tear it up and send them peace. But I needed to get what I wanted to say, my perspective, out of the way. I've always been known to be a gracious individual, but still not inhuman. Still have feelings, but was not taught the proper way on how to deal with those emotions in a healthy way. Anger is not bad. It's not a bad emotion. You actually can use anger as something to catapult you into things. It's not until we're taught in our communities that emotions are bad. Look how we treat people who get into rage. You've heard Abraham Hicks say this. They get into rage, and what we do, ooh, calm down, calm down. That might be the emotion that they need to get to the next level just to move forward. So I wasn't taught that. So anyway, fast forward, I am tip top notch shape. I learned these modalities, whether it was Chinese medicines, flower essences, faster EFT. Hear me, it goes on and on and on. Where I even got, oh God, what am I doing? That's when I knew, I was a doctor in other lifetimes, and I was pulling all of this information to heal my body. And it was a magical journey. So I said, in the process, I got tired of healing me. So I said, well, what can I offer to the world that will help them on this journey? And that's how Prosperity Place was created. And Prosperity Place, I used everything that I had little blocks in, whether it was money, health, energy, remote healing, and said I wanted to create a wellness place that had some type of fun in it. Healing do not have to be this doomsday thing. Can we create environments that will shift the perspective? Because if you're not the body, right, coming to some place to say, oh, let's heal it, having a little bit, I don't want to use the word fun, but you know what I'm saying, just a more uplifted environment for people to be in. So we created Prosperity Place where people do not forget that they are abundant. That is your birthright. So when you come into this place, the intention here that you are reminded at the soul level that you have the right to be, do, and have anything that you want. So from the first time you walk through the door, your aura is being flooded to clear out those thought forms, those emotional, whatever that's stagnant in the energy field. And every wall has a wallpaper like you see behind me with a custom affirmation on there that they can actually repeat, and it's in all 5 rooms. So you will not forget there's affirmations everywhere, and they were crafted consciously in order to that person to start to move the energy in the right direction. And every wall is infused with scalar, terahertz frequency. Well, we just added terahertz and tachyon particles. And with that, and essential oils, flower essences, and crystals. So I had the painting company. We combined this mixture in the paint, and they painted the walls twice with it. So when a person comes in here, just saying the affirmations on the wall, it pushes out the universe faster. So they don't even have to know all about the things that we've experienced or know, or not even be on their spiritual path. But when they come into Prosperity Place, it moves them and shifts them where they can know a little bit more about themselves. And then in one bedroom, we have a 24 karat plated gold pyramid that's like 50. It's really big. It can fit over a queen size bed that we custom made a capstone of tachyon scalar, the same essential oil flower essence combination, but along with heart crystals to keep the mind and the heart into coherence. So when someone sleeps underneath this pyramid, we can run any frequency, no matter what is ailment that's in the body. You can sleep in this bed, whether it's for an hour to 4 hours to overnight, and run that frequency, and it'll begin that healing process of whatever that ailment is. And then in the other room, we have a tachyon chamber. This is a little bit differently. This is you're laying in a recliner, and this is 0 point energy. No frequencies live here, none. That means we're giving you the space where you have no excuses to not focus on what you want. Just only focus on what you want. So you're underneath this nice pyramid that was custom done by Missional Technology. And when you're underneath there, we're playing, whether you're a 60-minute session or a 90-minute session, a series of frequencies and tones that is registering down to your DNA and to wake up certain latent DNA that's in you, your cells, and it's very calming. It's very relaxing. So many people have had different experiences. It just depends on where you are on your path. I've had people run out the room, like come up out of their session and threw off the headphones and come out of their room because they seen their whole future.
Wow.
Which was, it's really powerful, down to a person who can't even be able to move out of the chair for maybe 10 minutes after because it has relaxed them so much. I have to help them out of the chair. So that pyramid is very, very powerful. I had to, I even monitor how often I use it because tachyon particles move faster than the speed of light. And so when you give that particle intention to heal, to create this, it's working on your behalf. It's literally working on your behalf. So every time a person, and then we also have sex and flowers sessions. And these are my terahertz sessions. This is my baby, to be honest. I always get kind of emotional because my heart, because I feel sex and flowers is something that I created a couple of years ago, only because of my journey through my sexual experience and learning how I had to wake up my body to understand what sensuality was, sexuality was. I did the energy work. I did the physical detoxing work, working with multiple master teachers that you can look them up now and know exactly who they are, and went through all of that. And I said, well, I'm tired of working on me. How can I give this in a loving way back to people? And Sex and Flowers was, because I love flowers, their energy is here to help us remove those fragments of through our personality and those experiences they have, and just popping them underneath your tongue, or putting in your bath water. They literally actually help you to evolve because they understand the journey. And underneath the same pyramid, I asked, what can I give back that, that will help? Because I'm really tired of focusing on me. But what can I give back to others? And Sex and Flowers were literally born. Now I'm having flowers chase me in my dreams. I'm looking up what they work on, what they mean. And the Sex and Flowers brand is if you've ever had any sexual trauma of any kind, because people don't even realize you're a beautiful young woman. Have you ever experienced what they call catcalling? Walking down the street or being somewhere where guys just automatically, hey, cutie, hey, you so pretty, or you've seen it, right? Well, in our neighborhood and culture, that was common. That was so common. If young men thought that women were pretty, they were catcalled, but on an energetic level, without you ever having a sexual experience, it starts to inform you centrally and also sexually. And if their eyes are piercing through your aura, it's affecting you. And if they're looking at you in a sexual manner, this is why maybe a lot of young women maybe feel shy. They don't attribute it to that, But if there's a lot of them, and this is not beating up on masculine energy, especially if they're going through the hormone stage and, but it'll still affect us on a deeper energetic and spiritual level. And that's what the flowers through the dreams was teaching me. When you're involved in religious organizations and they're telling you what to do with your body, guess what you're doing to your sacral chakra? You're suppressing all of these emotions. So anytime you are presenting in your life and someone is telling you what you need to do with your body, and you're not, especially if it's authoritative, or if you feel fear, or say you need to fulfill a sexual obligation, right? Just to please another individual. And this happens on both ends, feminine and from females and males. Well, guess what? This is continue. You're not still being your authentic self. You're giving your power away. And so many of us, I did in the past, gave our power away, whether it was relationships that was not in alignment with our heart and was only fostered through lust, right? Well, guess what? All of that you know, and depending on who you have sexual relationships with, this is a deeper conversation, and we can always have another conversation about it, but people don't even realize that exchange, between semen, and how semen get caught up in the crevices of a woman, right? That's deeper. Well, anyway, my products, we created a product line called Sex and Flowers that has the Ayurvedic oils, right? That breaks down. We're using the ancient oils to break down the energy of those three lower chakras. And so you're going to rub that on your belly in a conscious way. The purpose of this product line is to tune you in with your body, because through your experience, somewhere you disconnected. And especially if it's something sexual, you will instantly disassociate, come up out the body and leave it, because you can't handle it. And it's not until you come back into the body where you're experiencing the trauma. So the product line is to tune you in back into the body by rubbing the oils in a clockwise way and speaking to yourself. We have affirmations that were consciously created to start saying to the body. Then we have a flower essence brand that works on the mental, the psychological part of, so you can start loving yourself and break up every single thing. And then we infused it with the scalar, the tachyon, and the terahertz. So we amplified it even more. So we have a relief blend. The relief blend is, say if you have a memory that come up that don't serve you, because this is really healing. My daughter and someone else that we know actually was one of the first people to actually start experiment with the product just to see if it worked. And my daughter, her first comment after the week was, "Mom, I no longer have rose-colored glasses on." That touched me, because something came up for her where she was able to see in her journey. And so the relief blend is meant for that. Say if you're not mentally ready to handle what comes up for you, you can literally take the relief blend. It'll cut that neurotransmitter off, so you don't go re-traumatize yourself. I don't want to say that, but you don't have to be in that experience that long at all, because you're in the present moment, you're safe, you're not in that past trauma. So we created the relief blend for that. And then what's most importantly, as you're healing, becoming more sexual, and whatever that means to you, this is where you give yourself permission to be who you have been seeing yourself to be in your imagination, but not have allowed yourself to be that. Maybe it was belief from the church. Maybe your mom told you that, your dad told you this, or you think it's wrong, or that's going to make you a freak, or whatever the case is, right? It's always come down to some type of fear of you being that, because we've been informed in so many ways. If people say that they're homosexual, now you got the news. Look, let people be who they are, right? So it's very important. That's what the product line is created for. But as you heal, it was very important for me to have something for that person to connect them in their heart space. So we have a ceremonial grade cacao blend that we also infused with those same particles. So it'll open up the heart chakra. So you can have some type of alignment to know which direction I want to go in. I can be who I want to be now. So who do I choose to be? So it's very important to connect to the heart space, not necessarily, who you think you should be. Connect here. And that is where you see the most of success. So we created it based what we've been through. How can we help others? And it's been operating for like a year and a half now. and we're really excited about it. It was soft opening, and the universe was sending us all the clients. I hadn't even put out one freaking advertisement for it. And I kid you not, and still to this day. So by me having a business background and then flowing through the spiritual community, I wanted to see how I wanted to present my wellness center. And I wanted to present it in a place that was actually welcoming. There's no religious beliefs here. So I don't care what religion you're in, you can, healing is still here. It doesn't matter because we're all, divine. I'm past all those type of belief systems. So we created to be a safe space for that reason. And in order for more people to know about it, I end up going through a complete marketing and branding campaign. And I'm still in that campaign, been in it for a year now. And that looked like creating the beautiful product line, what it looks like, how it's presented to you. I wanted people to really take sex and flowers on a serious level, not make it so spiritual and sciencey where they can't understand it. That was my whole goal. And that's why I hired this company, so I can make sure that my message was, because I realized that the journey can be scary for individuals when you tell them that you actually have all the power to change. That can be scary for individuals to know that all that power comes from them when they've been used to listening to everyone else. So we wanted to create a space that was fun, welcoming, peaceful, offer products. And so with that same product line, I have an individual lay on my tachyon massage table. And then I take what it looks like a basic hair dryer, and it has terahertz frequencies and scalar energy coming out of it and I focus on the body, but then I really tune in, because we also study pranic healing, tune in to those 3 lower chakras and how to bring it more light to open up. That you're gonna go through some healing. Of course, it might be a little bit emotional, but that's why we created the products for it. But each layer actually brings you closer and closer to that journey. And we offer 2 and 4 session here. We have a lot of things, and then AO scans, which is something I love doing because we have more information to give to you than if you just went in to go get a doctor's report. And I'm not a doctor, not by standpoint, so anything that I actually say, I want people to actually go look up what I'm saying, and to, see it for themselves. And so we have multiple resources for how to shift your consciousness, plant medicines, supplements, what else? So I like to give people that information, let them go look it up for themselves, and then they choose whatever healing modality that they want to, go through. Because I don't care what you say, if something comes up on a report about your gallbladder, energy and optimization is not going to work. You need to go see another doctor, and you might need surgery. So I'm always referring people. I'm a faster EFT practitioner, NLP, hypnosis, all of that. So when a person comes into our space, since we deal with so many individuals, we're always looking what resources are going to help that person, what resources are going to help that person. One modality might get this person through faster. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a client what's today? She was just here Tuesday after the holiday. And something that I decided to try on her as she's speaking and she's having a panic attack. She had 3 in a row after she saw her reports. She literally went into panic because she was connected to what she actually believed about herself. So when you come here, we can give you that information, and we're taking it from your throat. The frequencies is giving us that information. Whether you have, let me tell you, these reports are so, what word am I looking for? Detailed. So you'll know if you're self-destructing. You know if you are dealing with self-worth, if you're demanding, if you're spiritually imbalanced. I mean, every emotion. I really love looking at every person's report because since I study emotional intelligence, hypnosis, and all of these type of things, it allows me to get in tune with the emotions that people are feeling. And every report has been completely different. So we have to grab the whatever modalities we have just to work with that individual, that personality type, where they are in an ego, how they're going to accept it, and all of that. But this one client came, she's having maybe about 3 panic attacks in a row, you know. But of course, what I do, I breathe, I center myself, and I went, hey, hey, hey. So we literally go into a faster EFT technique where I'm having them tap certain acupuncture points to release those emotions out of the body. And so we finally got her to a 0 where now she can't even produce this emotion of anxiety at all. And I said, look, would you be willing? I want to try something with you. And I took her underneath hypnosis. And in 10 minutes, she came out and said, oh my God, Anaya, that felt so good. So I said, this is the work you have to do to yourself. And you know what the hypnosis was? Because I could see that the overwhelming became, how am I going to do this? How am I going to fix that? What healing? Where's the money going to come from? Literally, it was just everywhere, right? She hadn't thought about the future. So I instantly thought, let me just put her in underneath the hypnosis of her future. Of her future. And I asked her a simple question. What is it that you like to do? Because she's been a client for 2 years, and I could see that this job that you've been on, I want to ask you a question so you can get to the root of what's on this report, because that's what the panic attack was. She's actually a healer. She's a healer. And couldn't understand. I've done this work and I've done this and I don't understand. And it was like, well, let me get back to one point was, how did you get that job that you're working? Did you want it? What was your first line of work you wanted to go in? She said, a lawyer. What made you stop? Too long of a journey, too much education, wasn't willing to go. I said, so how did you choose the next profession? Oh, it was short and based on the money. And I said, and that was over 30 years ago. And you wonder how these emotions were created, right? Because you're not doing nothing you love. So tell me, what is it, if you could do, you would do? I need you to close your eyes and touch your heart. Now tears are coming down. And she began to speak and tell me, well, if I could do this, now she's dreaming. I do a lot of NLP to spark up things from a person. So I would give her certain questions that would just take her out of the trance to be able to answer it. And now she's saying, yes, I would do this and I would do that. And then I said, would you mind if we suggest to your subconscious, let me put you under hypnosis? She says, okay, close her eyes. I literally walk her through the training. Walk her. I let her see herself doing what she told me, having what she told me, having the things that she wanted. I walked her through that just by suggesting to the subconscious mind. I had to bypass the area of her amygdala that was hijacking her body at the moment. In the moment you start imagining and thinking about the future, I mean, feeling good about it, you can relax. That literally made this woman relax because she was seeing something that she wanted to do. So when you come to Prosperity Place, we're literally pulling at each individual, seeing what modality are working. Right now, I'm in the process of learning another modality. I'm working.
Oh my goodness, awesomeness. I cannot wait to visit you in Prosperity Place. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you and your husband have to come to dinner.
Thank you, yeah. So,
but I don't know. I don't know if we want to have dinner at Prosperity Place. No, because every time someone come here, we stop having meetings business meetings in Prosperity Place because the people here, they will get emotional. I mean, the guys that painted Prosperity Place, the painter had to hire 2 more guys because the other guys had broke down emotionally. One was crying, breaking up. Yes, I was hiding from my contractors for about a couple weeks.
Wow.
But I gave them a disclaimer, and they signed a disclaimer before they actually put this place, the walls, because I went to that point you were saying. I didn't want to interfere. I wanted them to know if you want to be on a healing journey, painting this place will cause that emotions. And of course, they were young. They were like, yeah, whatever you talking about later.
Well, surprise.
Surprise. And one guy, he was standing over the counter and he's crying. He was like crying and telling me everything. He's like, I'm just realizing everything. And I was like, and I would coach him as much as I could, but I had other clients to go. And I'm like, look, you got to work this out on this for yourself. And he ended up quitting. And they had to hire. But guess what? He quit and went into doing what he actually wanted to do, was to be a chef.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
He had some resignation. I want to be a chef and cook. So it was this place doing it without him knowing it. Because even by the time, our painter guy had to hire someone else. So we went through a journey with even creating it, just even for ourselves, having to recalibrate. It has an energy of its own, so it has a flow. And so we work with it with every person that comes to the door. That's why I'm really grateful. And it's just like, okay, what is it we're working with? And then we also pride ourselves as being people that is constantly connected to our divinity. And we see the divinity in you when you walk through the door. So, and you are healing yourself. We're just that conduit and vessel to allow you to see who you are, on the other side of suffering is abundance. And just by our experience and our journey, especially coming from Chicago, Illinois, it's so many things that we had to, traverse and let go and shift our mindset and learn completely differently. So we like to see ourselves as that example, but we're constantly checking in on our bodies, seeing what toxicities in our bodies, constantly following detox programs. Because I believe that how I take care of myself is what I want to transmit to my clients and their energy. And I know it always comes back to the physical body. So that's literally how I look at it, how I want to transmit that energy. If a person sees that I'm getting my vitamins and minerals taken care of on a daily basis, shifting, I don't see it as a big thing anymore. This is information. This is direction I need to take. So we're constantly clearing our own energy field in order to give it to you. Wow. And keeping our worldview very neutral. We don't get into that. We have a very positive worldview. I see everyone awakening. I see everyone well. I see everyone getting what they need. I really do. I really, really do. And so, come on over.
My goodness, yes.
And whoever's out there interested, we are in Scottsdale, Arizona, and the website will be presented within maybe about another couple months. We're so excited because the website is so beautiful. And so right now they're just putting all of the services together on there. And I'm just really, really excited. And we're in the process of, just getting everything done. And I've had a really nurturing and great team behind me. And just so to present Sex and Flowers in the World, I even like saying it because people don't connect it to a healing product. It's not until I begin to speak on it and they say, oh, that's not what I thought it was at all, right? And
I am excited. Oh my goodness. I am excited to dig deeper into all these beautiful things that you have created in your beautiful space. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness, Valerie. I am so glad we actually had this conversation. You want to know why? You know what? I'll tell you. Okay. No, let me say it now because I look forward to everyone coming to the celerity.com website. And celerity basically means accelerate possibilities. And so when you come to Prosperity Place, We help you accelerate your possibilities in any, area of your life. And so with that being said, the sex and flower products already know that it's going to do well. And I got to work with my team with this before this goes to print. But the oil is for external use only.
Okay.
External, just because it says sex and flowers, it's not for internal use. So no freaky dicky. No freaky dicky with the oil. It's the healing of the chakras. So we're really excited to, you can, if you want to know more information, the websites will be, the official websites will be linked. I mean, uploaded maybe about within a couple months, but we do have information out there. You can go to idaretoprosper.com, and that's where you will find all the pictures. It'll walk you through this whole place, and it's fully equipped. So if someone needs to rent it out, for a night or for hours, that's an availability. Or if you need a tachyon session, a tune and fork session, or sex and flower session, or even just counselor session, because our sex and flower sessions is no talk therapy. We don't want the body. I don't want you talking about the experience and then the body starts to now react. So a person who sees me with a sex and flower session, I want you to know you do not have to go into the experience. I already know the vibration of that. I'm already seeing well. The products and everything is doing the work. And you just have to relax and be willing and receive the healing and to move forward and go forward, see yourself in a different light, visualize, because as I have them on the table, I literally have to visualize themselves in power, because as you keep telling the story, it keep disempowering you. So we have the no talk therapy sex and flower sessions. And so they can go to even learn more about that at sexandflowers.org, which everything will be accumulated in the next 2 months, like I said. So hopefully we'll do another launching video and everything. But right now we're still open. You can, even contact me through Valkyrie or through the websites. You can email in if you're interested in any of this information. I actually love working with people who are ready to have that courage and say, enough is enough. I've experienced suffering. I want to experience an abundant life. I want to have the money that I know I deserve to experience. I want to have the health and the vitality and the energy to get the things that I need to get done. And we're here to help you accelerate possibilities, any way that we can. And so that's how we look at it. And everyone is an individual. And that's why we invested in so much equipment, because the spiritual path is an individual journey.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. And well, to wrap up, can you tell us a little bit of your true love story with your husband?
Okay, well, known him since I was 11, met him when I was in grade school. And what attracted to us to each other, but what attracted to me to him, because I was always attracted to guys that was intelligent, like that was good at their grades and studied. And at that time, Liam he was our class president and all of that. And so we met at the age 11. By the age of 12, we started dating on and off. And we wasn't doing anything. Like, we didn't kiss. He was very respectful. He wasn't that type of guy. I mean, in order to get a kiss, I remember he walked and gave me a Twinkie. He walked me to the corner, gave me a Twinkie, and thought he was going to get a kiss. And I was,
how cute is that?
and dated off and on, as our life was shifting and changing through high school. But Liam was always that guy in my life that no matter what was going on, I knew, no matter who he was dating or whatever, that I could actually call and have a friend. We were that type of friends, right? And so eventually, I don't know, something happened. One night, I'm in my bed eating ice cream, off work, looking at TV, and I heard, call Liam. And we were in a bad spurt at that time. I'm like, no, I'm not calling him. I don't want to talk to him. I talked to him 2 years ago and I was angry at him, right? No, I'm not calling him. And I heard again, call Liam. So I call him, and his mom answered, and she was so happy to hear from me. She said that she knew when we were kids that I was going to be his wife, because she said he never reacted to any relationship. And so she always wanted to know, who is this Anaya? Who is this Anaya? And we became friends. Fast forward, I ended up calling him. He was going through a situation in his life, and we just hooked up, and I was able to help him through that. We just resonated, and we just said, why don't we just get married? And everyone was like, no, do you guys know your history? Do you know your history? And I'm like, no, we both were feeling it. And next month, it'll be 29 years.
Wow. Wow.
And we have 2 children, a 30-year-old and he'll be 28 next month as well. And so, and right now, we look at ourselves as even higher than those relationships that we grew. Now we're such just a spiritual, powerful couple, because we look at each other in a higher way. So he's always a mirror for me, and vice versa. So I know if I'm getting frustrated at Liam for any reason, I can easily go back to childhood with me and him. You know, it's real easy. You know, but we got to a point where we're just really easy with each other. I can't. He's easy to deal with, and I am too. And I love him today. He's one of my greatest supporting systems. I just don't know where I would be in this journey without that presence. And you know all about the Nadi palm leaf reading. And so it was a blessing to find out that we were actual soulmates.
Wow.
It was not by mistake at all. Right. We were on both of each other's Nadi palm leaf reading. So it felt good to even know that we decided to come here and unfold together, to deal with the darkness together, and then also usher in the light together.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. What a journey. Yeah. So, Anaya, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. And thank you for everyone listening. And all the links will be in the description below. If you want to contact Anaya, just check out the website and other resources that will be linked to. So thank you, everyone. Have a good one and see you next time.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. For more information on Anaya services and prosperity well-being place, feel free to reach out to Anaya and book a session at anaya@idaretoprosper.com or 602-818-3849. idaretoprosper.com and sexandflowers.org. Links in the description box below. Until next episode, and have a blessed day.